Showers of blessings today and always. If you have resigned to a life of unhappiness, saying it's your destiny, this sparkle is for you. Brihat was a brilliant young man deciding his life's path. He wanted to join the king's court as a minister in counseling and solving people's problems. Brihat also longed to study under a great sage. Finally, Brihat joins the royal court, being lured by the grandeur and richness. In a short time, though, Brihat realized that unless he understood the very purpose of his being, he'd be of no use at the royal court. Brihat sets out in search of a guru who lived deep in the forest. When he reached the hermitage, he was willingly taken in as a student by the wise old sage. Brihat, in turn, promised total dedication in learning and serving his guru. Brihat stood true to his words and was loved by the wise sage. Years flew by when suddenly the old sage's elderly wife got pregnant. When she was 8 months into her pregnancy, the old sage had to go on a pilgrimage. Brihat was left to take care of the sage's pregnant wife. When the sage's wife went into labor, Brihat anxiously paced outside the hut. Just then, he sees a man trying to enter the hut. Brihat furiously stops him, only to realize that it's Brahma who has come to write the child's destiny. Brihat then asks Brahma what the child's destiny is. Brahma says that even he wouldn't know the child's destiny till he places the hand on the child's head and starts writing. He promises Brihat that he would tell him on his way out. Brahma comes out of the hut looking rather serious. Brahma tells Brihat that it's a boy and that his destiny is that he'd be a poor man with just one buffalo and a sack of rice as his only possession. Brihat's heart sinks. He's unable to accept the fact that being born to a good man, how could this child's destiny be so sad? Brahma warns Brihat never to reveal the secret, as that would shatter his head to pieces. Years go by. Brihat almost forgot the meeting with Brahma. When the sage's elderly wife gets pregnant once again. Once again, the wise sage had to go on a pilgrimage. Once again, Brihat is left to take care of the sage's pregnant wife. Once again, Brihat is pacing outside the hut. Once again, Brahma comes to write the child's destiny. And once again, Brahma comes out of the hut looking ever more serious than the first child. Brahma tells Brihat that it's a girl and that her destiny is to live a life of a prostitute, selling her body to earn her living. Brihat is devastated. Brihat leaves the hermitage, unable to see the children grow up to their destiny. After nearly 20 years, not being able to put the children out of his mind, Brihat goes back to the hermitage to check on the children. The sage and his wife had passed away. Both the children were living in different neighboring villages. Brihat goes to meet the boy first. As destined by Brahma, he lived in poverty as a coolie, carrying luggage of people on the one buffalo he owned and living a life feeding on just a sack of rice. Brihat approached him, introduced himself, and decided to stay with the boy and his family until he found a way to better their living. Brihat thought for hours and had the deepest epiphany that destiny being just a path. One's choice on how to walk it without being imprisoned by it is the key. In the morning, he told the boy to sell the buffalo, buy food and vegetables with that money, cook it with a sack of rice, and serve it to the whole village without holding back even a morsel. Brihat warns him not to save even a morsel of food, as that would be holding on to his destiny of having one buffalo and a sack of rice. The boy, though reluctant, does as told. At night, the boy is unable to sleep, worrying how he'd feed his family the next morning. But to his surprise, the next morning, he finds a buffalo and a sack of rice in the backyard of his home, being it his destiny. Brihat tells him to repeat what he'd done the previous day without holding back even a morsel of food. This continues day after day, even after the boy's life changed phenomenally. The boy, from being poor and unwanted, began to be loved, respected, and considered the most generous man of the village. Now Brihat journeyed to where the daughter lived, introduced himself, and told her that he was there to help her change her destiny. The girl was so disgusted living a life of a prostitute that she was willing to try anything. Brihat told her not to open the door at night, but shout out that her price had gone up and that she would open the door to the man who brings her a necklace made of the finest pearls. Brahma had written her destiny to be a prostitute, but had not mentioned anything about the price. The girl did as told, locked her door, and called out her new price, and one by one everyone left, assuming she had gone mad. Now the night was about to be over, and the girl was beginning to get worried how she's going to feed herself tomorrow. But just before sunrise, there was a knock on the door, and a man waited outside holding a pearl necklace. Brihat told her to sell the necklace and feed the poor, and told her that there are very few men who could afford such an expensive necklace, so it'll be the same man who'd come to her again and again, and she'd get to spend the night only with that one man. Brihat insisted that she used all of the money feeding the poor, because if she kept some for herself, Destiny would think that she has what's owed to her and nothing would change. Once Brihat realized that the girl had settled into her new way of living, he decided to move on. Brihat left early the next day, before sunrise, and he had just gone a short way when he saw a man bent under the weight of a huge sack of rice on his head. In one hand, he was holding a pearl necklace, and on the other hand, he was leading a buffalo. The man was muttering under his breath and didn't notice Brihat. The man, can you guess? Was Brahma. Brahma was absolutely tired and worn, making the trip every day to fulfill the destiny he had written. And when Brihat saw this, he smiled and thought to himself, now I'm ready to work at the royal court. Don't settle for a life of unhappiness and disappointment. overwhelm the gods with awe by living the life they have blessed you with sparkles of wisdom, richness, exuberance, and celebration. You know why? Because you are amazing. Stay blessed. Thank you.